The triple quench. What it do? By using standards unfit for normal science, I'm about to find out on this bar of 5160. The plan is to take it, heat it in the forge 6 or 7 cycles, whack on it with a hammer a few times, then cut it into pieces and subject those bits to different heat treat regimens. My objective will be twofold. First, I want to compare heat treat and quenches done with a forge to heat treatment accomplished with a temperature-controlled oven. I've done this experiment with hypereutectoid steels, and the difference is impressive, by the way. The second is to see if triple quenching is superior to single quenching, and if so, perhaps it can make up any deficiency forgeside quenching has when compared to using a temperature-controlled oven, for example. So what are we going to measure to make our determination? Grain size. How are we going to measure it? With our eyeballs and a shoddy $15 Amazon microscope, of course. So get out your Texas Instruments graphing calculators and let's nerd it up in here. Are we going to measure hardness, edge retention, toughness, check for stress fractures, or anything else of use? No. The rules. Number 1, I heat treat 5160 differently than you. Everyone does. This is a testament to how forgiving this steel is to heat treat, frankly. Number 2, not only is our outcome measurement lacking in several dimensions, including how it's quantified, there's only one test subject in each arm of this experiment, making the results interesting, but not fit for any real conclusions, scientifically speaking, except that, hey, that's possible. Number 3, no, you can't judge colors in my forge, taken on a video camera, then video processed, then sent to your crappy monitor, so shut up. Alright, let's cycle this bar a few times in the oven and grow them grains up nice and big. We're going to try 4 different quenches. Number 1, no normalization whatsoever, but we'll quench from a temperature-controlled oven. This may suggest whether normalization is useful for grain size at all in 5160. I think it should be. Number 2, forge side normalization times 2. Then apply a single quench from the forge. Number 3, oven normalization and quench from the oven, temperature-controlled. In other words, number 4, forge side normalization times 2 again, and the triple quench. Here we're going to lay out our 4 segments plus a 5th because, well, I sort of want to see what the grain looks like before any heat treatment or normalization cycles whatsoever. Don't you do this to me, you husky vice. I take such good care of you, and this is how you repay me. So that's pretty big. Here we go with piece number 1. We're going to quench from the oven without normalizing our steel at all, but we're going to use temperature control and quench at precisely 1525 degrees. That's our quench A. It's a commercial quenchant. A slow oil. Number 2, now I'm going to forge normalize this piece by bringing it to just over non-magnetic twice and letting it air cool both times. And then we'll quench in oil. Same oil as last time. We're going to use the same oil every time, obviously. Would the results be different in a vegetable oil or whatever oil you're using? I don't know. You decide. And there's the quench. Number 3, now we're going to normalize it twice. First at 1600 degrees, then at 1550 degrees, then quench in oil again from 1525 degrees Fahrenheit. Now for our ultimate forgeside quench routine, 2 normalization cycles followed by the triple quench. Number 3 is still a little hot. But yeah, they all hardened to over 60 HRC. They're going to be tempered at 400 degrees for 90 minutes twice, all in the same oven. Yeah, it's a kitchen oven. Who cares if it's off 10 or 15 degrees? Either way, they're all getting the same tempering cycles, basically. So here are the results. I'm sorry about these photos. I don't have a macro lens, and I'm doing my best here. So at any rate, there's no quench, no thermal cycling whatsoever. Here's no normalization and a quench from an oven, so temperature controlled. It's actually pretty good. Our typical forgeside quench there with 2 normalization cycles and a single quench. Followed by oven normalization and oven quench. And last and most interesting, the triple quench. So what'd you guys think? Who came out on top here? It's really hard to say, and again, I'm not sure this is all that scientific. But in my forge, under these conditions, how I do things, and the oil I'm using, whatever, I think this is how it comes out. At the top is the temperature controlled normalization cycles plus quench, followed by the triple quench, interestingly enough, then followed by no normalization, but an oven controlled quench. I don't know, it's weird. So a lot of you are probably asking, why didn't you anneal anything? Well, 5160 is a hypoeutectoid steel. A lot of people don't anneal it to make knives with. It's really hard to anneal. You really need a heat treat oven, and even then it's very difficult. You have to drop the temperature a certain rate, then hold it, then drop it again, etc. You can do sort of this rough and tumble forgeside anneal by getting it to non-magnetic, taking it out of the forge, letting it cool to a gray, or then putting it back in the forge, turning off the forge, and then just letting it cool. This took about 8.5 hours to get to room temperature. So from a time standpoint, that's a pretty decent anneal cycle, but I wouldn't say that this is adequately annealing 5160 to its true potential, but let's just see what happens. As you can see, I took the single and triple quench and compared it to doing the anneal cycle first and not. The pictures on the bottom row are a little bit different. They have different lighting. There's not as much shadow, so the grains look finer there. I would sort of ignore the photos and go with the microscope pictures. Does the triple quench come on top after annealing? I don't know why it would. The single quench didn't change much. I don't know. Interesting results. So, what do you guys make of that? Useful? Dumb? Hey, sound off in the comment section below. Haha, that's right, fool! You didn't think we were going out like that. We gotta do a forge anneal with oven normalization times 2 and oven triple quench for the ultimate temperature control. That's right, in my garage, this is about as fine as it gets. Let's see what the result is. Eesh. That's by far superior to our other results. No anneal, forge norm, triple quench from the forge. Pretty good results, but compared to the oven triple quench, here's a no anneal, forge normalization, single quench. So I think you can see the sequence there of awesome to not quite as awesome. This final segment I think is just reinforcing what we all know: the importance of temperature control and thermal cycling and heat treatment probably cannot be overstated. Even though we got some interesting and sort of cool, good results from triple quenching and doing some of the other things with this hypoeutectoid steel, nothing really compares to tight temperature control. Have a good one.